Meantime, Sarah Palin's comments about the president during her stump speech for Donald Trump has angered at least one U.S. veteran. During that Oklahoma rally last week, Palin seemed to blame President Obama for her son's domestic violence arrest because after her son served in Iraq, he then suffered from PTSD.
My son, like so many others, they come back a bit different. They come back hardened. They come back wondering if there is that respect for what it is that their fellow soldiers and airmen and every other member of the military so sacrificially have given to this country that comes from our own president, where they have to look at him and wonder, do you know what we go through? Do you know what we're trying to do to secure America?
Now, a U.S. veteran who is also a PTSD survivor is responding to Palin in this open letter. U.S. Marine Sergeant and Naval Officer Chris Mark calls her out for, quote, trivializing the disorder and being disingenuous. He writes in part, quote, I recently read your comments related to PTSD in which you attempted to excuse your son's arrest on domestic abuse charges and firearm charges by referencing his supposed PTSD. Based upon your previous comments, I am not surprised that you would choose to use this very serious condition as a political football and once again attempt to divert blame from your own family's aberrant, violent behavior. Marine Sergeant Chris Mark joins me now. He's part of the 1993 U.S. combat mission in Somalia, Operation Continue Hope. Sergeant, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your service to this country.
Thank you for having me, Brooke.
Let's get to first just you. I want to talk to you about your service, coping with PTSD. I know you help a lot of veterans, so not just you know this intimately. Describe your struggle for me, and also I know you just lost someone who you were trying to help just yesterday.
Yeah, and let me correct quickly. I was actually a veteran in Somalia in 1994, so after that Ranger incident everybody's familiar with, so it was 1994. I will say that my own struggle, I struggled undiagnosed for, gosh, about 20 years. And for about the last, 10 years or 12 years, my wife has been imploring me to go in and get tested. So just in the past year, I decided to go to the VA and get tested, quite frankly, just to kind of get her off my back a little bit. And I thought they would send me home and I would be done. Instead, what I got was an invitation to come back and talk to a professional. When I went through that process, I realized that a lot of what I had been struggling with for so many years was indeed due to PTSD. So my diagnosis is relatively recent, but I did struggle with the effects of some of the things for quite a few years.
So this is personal for you, and it's personal for so many men and women in our country. I know I've talked to them. I've talked to parents of men and women who have taken their own lives because they couldn't cope. And so when you see Sarah Palin stand on that stage last week and say what she did, your thought was what?
Well, I was angered on two levels. One, PTSD is a very serious issue, but it's also stigmatized in the press and people don't really understand it. So we don't need veterans being treated like they're violent individuals simply because they're struggling with some effects of PTSD. On the second part, we have a very real issue here, which is domestic violence. There was a domestic violence victim involved in this, and again, I think by blaming PTSD, she's doing a disservice to people that are in domestic violent relationships.
In addition to that, those 2 points, I was just talking to the IAVA on the show last week, and they were bringing up the point, sort of the lack of specifics that some of these presidential candidates have offered in terms of, how if elected commander-in-chief, they would help our nation's veterans. And I'm just wondering if you have any particular candidate in mind who you think would take these issues seriously.
And this is probably going to offend some of my Republican friends, but I think all candidates take it seriously. I think President Obama currently takes it seriously, and I'm a Republican, so I don't have a particular candidate in mind, but I quite honestly can't envision any candidate ignoring it, especially in light of what we've seen over the last few years with the problems in the VA and kind of the exposure of veterans taking their lives.
Chris Mark, thank you very much. Marine Sergeant Chris Mark, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up next.